Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Great America Show. It's great to have you with us on this beautiful day here in America. Thank you so much for spending part of your day, your evening, your night, whenever you're joining us. We appreciate you taking the time to spend some time with us here on the Great America Show, as there's so much important news to get to. In just a few moments, we're going to be joined by my pal, the great Roger Stone, to take up all the current events on what's happening. Roger's just back from a trip from the D.C. swamp. We're going to get his take. He met with President Trump on all that's happening in the swamp. This week, President Trump promised a damning report on the Bureau of Labor Statistics. By the way, just a few weeks ago, he fired the head of it for what he said was numbers manipulation. Everyone went crazy. Well, not everyone. The Marxist left went crazy. That Donald Trump's firing another career bureaucrat who's doing a terrific job. Earlier this week, he promised a report, a damning report, on the shortcomings on the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Earlier this morning, we got that report. U.S. employment growth from March revised sharply lower is the headline from Reuters.com. The U.S. economy likely created 911,000 fewer jobs in the 12 months through March than previously estimated. This according to this government report out earlier this morning. This suggests that jobs growth was already stalling before President Trump's aggressive tariffs on imports. These are the direct words from Reuters. Economists had estimated that the Labor Department Bureau of Labor Statistics could revise the level of employment from April of 2024 through March of 2025 down by 400 to a million jobs. The level of employment for the 12 months through March 2024 was downgraded by 598,000 jobs. Now, why is this an issue? Well, it's an issue because for Joe Biden's last months in office, when they were propping him up and when they were propping Kamala Harris up, telling us that the economy was doing great, they were lying by over 100,000 jobs a month. Now, that's an issue. When Elon Musk can land a rocket on a pad within inches and feet, and these people can't get jobs right within the matter of now, there's a margin of error on everything. Okay, that's acceptable. To me, and I think to most people, being off by over 100,000 a month is not acceptable. It doesn't make any sense how they can be so wrong, unless, of course, they were manipulating the data on purpose. Now, it's not me alleging that, but I'm saying it could be a possibility. The same way, like Jerome Powell just happened to cut interest rates just before the 2024 election to stimulate growth on the markets, but hasn't cut an interest rate since then. Now, this is not me alleging that, just laying out what the facts are. The great Lou Dobbs used to always tell me, if something seems too good to be true or something seems off, lift up the rug. There's probably a mouse under there. And with everything going on between the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Federal Reserve, it seems that there's a whole bunch of pack rats under that rug. And we should be expecting a rate cut from the Federal Reserve in the next coming meeting. But the fact that it's taken this long to get there, the fact that nobody's making a bigger deal that they lied about nearly 1 million jobs being created to try to steal an election for Joe Biden, to try to rig an election for Joe Biden, manipulating data. It's so funny to see because everything the Democrats have accused Donald Trump of doing, they have done. Whether it be the mortgage fraud on Donald Trump's part, the mortgage fraud in New York, we've now seen the Democrats. Collusion, there was no collusion. The collusion was on the Democrat side. Christopher Steele, Hillary Clinton, with the fake Russia collusion. You go down the list, and I would say a good 90 to 95% of everything the Democrats have accused Donald Trump or the Republicans are doing, they've done themselves. But the Republicans are just not smart enough to frame it for the voters, to show them how manipulative these people are. So the moral of the story, not acceptable to miss by over 100,000 jobs a month, 1 million jobs in a year. To me, as the great Lou Dobbs would say, there's a mouse under that rug. Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett was on for an interview with Bret Baier last night on Fox News. No, we don't watch Fox News. We just watch the clips and headlines from it. And Bret Baier asked her about the court's rulings and how they've seemingly been in Donald Trump's favor. Amy Coney Barrett, who's been no consistent vote, by the way, for Donald Trump. as you've heard me lay out every single time a vote comes, that she's on the wrong side of history about, saying that the court is not ruling on anything Donald Trump, as I think we've been saying here on the show. Let's take a listen.
We're hearing.
That said, the current perception, like I said, is that the left is saying this court is protecting President Trump in his effort to consolidate power. You can see that really from the recent headlines. There's a lot of them about that. The overwhelming evidence that the Supreme Court is on Donald Trump's team. New York Times, the Supreme Court is backing Trump's power grab. NBC, in rare interviews, federal judges criticize Supreme Court's handling of Trump cases. They say you're helping to certify this move towards authoritarianism. How do you respond to that?
The court decides cases as they come. And one thing that I try to emphasize to students, and one thing I try to do in the book, is place the court in the context of history. We're not deciding cases just for today. And we're not deciding cases based on the president, as in the current occupant of the office. We're deciding cases about the presidency. So we're taking each case and we're looking at the question of presidential power as it comes. And the cases that we decide today are going to matter 4 presidencies from now, 6 presidencies from now, and so on. Each of these cases that we're getting, some of them overlap, but many present different constitutional issues.
Mm-hmm. The right, obviously.
A word of advice for Brett Baer: maybe less hair dye, less Botox. His forehead seems to defy gravity and reality. Very, very striking. I couldn't stop focusing on it. But Amy Coney Barrett, I think, speaking of very wise words of truth. Everything they're ruling on will have an effect on us and our children and our grandchildren for years to come. And I'll say it, and I'll say it, and I'll say it again. All the rulings that have come have been because they fall within the boundary of the law. It has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Tom Homan was on with Mika Brzezinski this morning, and I guess you could say it wasn't a good way for her to start her morning, taking an absolute beatdown for not knowing what in the hell she is talking about. Let's take a listen.
I see on the show this morning you have Governor Healy talking about ICE doing enforcement operations at a church. Mm-hmm. False. Didn't happen.
They were parked there. They did not do an operation there. She said they were parked in a public space legally.
But to say that and to push that out there puts fear in the immigrant community. So let me tell you what's happening.
To do that puts fear in the community. Right. To park the ICE agent's vehicle
they're on a
near
public
a church.
Street.
They are on a public street.
She said they're on a public street, sir, waiting to respond to a criminal alien release pulled aside the road. Let me tell you, in the last couple of days, what's happened in Boston. They arrested Victor Gomez Perez, a 33-year-old criminal alien from Guatemala, with charges of aggravated rape, assault and battery with dangerous weapon, indecent assault and battery on a victim 14 years or younger. They arrested Kaylee Espinosa, a 33-year-old criminal alien from Colombia, with charges of aggravated assault on a pregnant victim. They arrested Joshua Gonzalez, a 23-year-old criminal alien from Dominican Republic, with charges for trafficking heroin, morphine, opium, resisting police, disorderly conduct, and drug distribution. They also arrested Samuel Armando Barrera, a 20-year-old criminal illegal alien from Guatemala, pending charges for assault and battery on a child. So Mayor Wu and Governor Healy, they ought to be calling ICE and thanking them for making their streets safer, for protecting their communities and taking these people off the street. They've turned a blind eye to this. They're sanctuary cities. Sanctuaries, cities and sanctuary states are sanctuaries for criminals. Give ICE access to the jail to arrest a bad guy in the jail rather than having to go in the community to find them. Because when you go in the community and find them, it puts ICE officers at greater risk. It puts the community at greater risk. It puts the alien at greater risk because anything can happen on a street arrest. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to prioritize public safety threats when you got governors and mayors who are releasing these public safety threats every day into the community. That causes the crime rate, and we've seen some terrible incidents in the last few days where innocent victims are murdered. This past year, I've seen innocent Americans raped and murdered by people who are not supposed to be here. So rather than going back and forth and say, well, ICE has got a car parked near a church, that is ridiculous. You're out there looking for people like this. Exactly what they're doing.
Well, I would argue that actually that the ICE vehicle parked outside a Spanish mass is a frightening sight, given what has happened in this country. I also, with respect, sir, thank you for the information that you have shared on this show, but we would appreciate all of the information. All of it. All of the data that you say you have.
I've done this show several times. Every time I'm on your show, I speak with integrity, I speak with honesty, and I speak with facts. The bottom line is, because of all this false narrative, and you using the term disappearing people,
well, that's
disgusting.
What's happened. That happened to the group that was sent to El Salvador.
U.S. citizens get arrested every day. U.S. citizens get arrested by police every day. Are they being disappeared? No, their laws are being enforced. They're being arrested. They're being put in detention because they committed a criminal offense.
Not like what you're doing.
Not even close. We're enforcing the law and arresting people here in violation of law that are public safety threats. That's not disappearing people. That's enforcing the laws of this country and making this country safer.
Disappearing people is what Micah Brzezinski boils it down to. Not like the children and women and kids who are disappearing at the southern border and being human trafficked. No, she doesn't care about that. Why would they? Folks, we're going to take a quick break here. On the other side of this quick break, we're going to be joined by my pal and weekly favorite of the Great America Show, the great Roger Stone. Much, much more to come here on the Great America Show. We're going to take all this up that we spoke about in this monologue and much, much more with the great Roger Stone. Please stay with us, folks. We're coming right back. The Great America Show continues in just one moment.
I'm excited to announce that we're having a huge sale on overstock and brand new products. For example, My Pillow Percale bed sheets, every color, every style, every size, only $29.88. Our Percale bed sheets are breathable, cool and crisp, and they're perfect for spring and summer. And check out Rev 7, the next generation of energy drinks. It tastes great, and it gives you energy all day with no jitters and no crashes. Best of all, it's actually good for you. And for a limited time, try our 3-pack absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save 20% on our Rev 7 12-packs, or try our introductory 3-pack absolutely free. And our Percale bed sheets, all sizes, only $29.88. Twin size, full size, queen size, king sizes, all $29.88. Inventory is extremely limited at this price, so order now.
Roger, as always, a delight to have you with us. Welcome back from the swamp. I want to get your take. You just returned back to the great state of Florida, made great by Ron DeSantis from Florida, from D.C. Give me your sense. What's going on in the swamp?
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I wouldn't spend $64 million to build a bunch of tents in the Everglades and call it Alligator Alcatraz. For $64 billion, you could build a stadium. So, I must tell you, the president, far from being dead, he's alive and well. He's energized. He's charged up. He's energetic. This whole fact that he takes a little time off and they immediately start these rumors that he's ill or that he's dead, it's really disgusting. It's reprehensible. Joe Biden was kept in a basement or locked in a room and fed gruel for multiple years, and nobody said anything.
Yeah, it's nice to see him back from the dead, as I told you beforehand. And it wasn't even days off, Roger. He literally didn't go golf one day. They complain when he golfs, and he didn't go for one day, and it was like the end of the world. This man's dead. He looks fine to me, looks good as can be to me, and he has to be, because he's got to fight in Washington, D.C. now for himself, as he's had to for the last 10 years. The latest news coming out of D.C. today is that John Thune wants to go with the nuclear option to get President Trump's judicial nominees through the Senate because the Democrats won't put them through, namely Alina Habba off the top of my head in New Jersey because of the blue slip process. Yet John Thune in August had the opportunity to hold a recess so President Trump can do recess appointments. He wouldn't do it. Now he wants to go to the nuclear option. What is this man's deal?
Well, this is why I was for Rick Scott to be the Senate Majority Leader. I still think that there are, unfortunately, Republicans who don't understand the mandate of the last election, don't understand that the president won every swing state and the popular vote, and that the American people are ready for the reforms that he wants to bring in. What's more disgusting is none of our U.S. attorneys have been confirmed by the Senate. Under Joe Biden, the Republicans, approved all of his U.S. attorneys mostly by voice vote. His ambassadors have not been approved. So they are basically operating government by stall in an effort to just ride Donald Trump and his agenda out. It's despicable. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't speak to the solution to this, but there must be one. The idea that two senators can block the appointment of a U.S. attorney, I think we both understand what this is about. Yeah. The senators in question don't want a U.S. attorney who might investigate them. That's precisely what this is about. And if you're Chuck Schumer, that's a pretty legitimate concern.
Yeah. And now Donald Trump signaling today he's in favor of looking at some sort of, I think it's Anna Paulina Luna, who's a rising star within the party, a stock trading ban. Why has it taken this long to even come to this? We've seen all the malice and corruption out of Washington, D.C. as it pertains to members trading stock. Marjorie Taylor, and it's on both sides. It's not just the Democrats. So we're going to call it out on both sides. Marjorie Taylor Greene making millions of dollars a year. Dan Crenshaw making millions of dollars a year. Nancy Pelosi making tens of millions of dollars a year. Why is it taking so long to try to level out some type of corruption in this cesspool of garbage?
Well, I'm very high on Anna Paulina Luna. I think she's done an amazing job with the Kennedy disclosure hearings. She has upcoming hearings on the murder of Senator Robert F. Kennedy that I think could really be historic, dynamic, because that story has not fully been explored for the American people. It just seems pretty elementary to me, but there are still members of the swamp in both parties who don't want to do away with stock trading, don't want to do away with their free health care, with their free gym membership. This is government by elitism, and these reforms are necessary.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Speaking of JFK, let's talk about RFK, who was the subject of, attack after attack after attack last week on Capitol Hill by Republicans and the Marxist Democrats, trying to beat this guy down. Now, there was a report that came out alleging from Benny Johnson that there's a CIA manual going around the HHS buildings on how to try to oust RFK. To me, it seems like we're in 2016 all over again, except instead of trying to keep Donald Trump's people in, who are the bad guys, they're trying to get the good guys out this time.
Yeah, this memo leaked several weeks, maybe even months ago now. He is their worst nightmare because he's putting the health of the American people ahead of the profit margins for big pharma. And he holds his own. Watch these hearings, whether it's Frank Pallone, whether it's Pocahontas, or whether it's Bernie Sanders. This guy gives as good as he takes. He has no compunction about coming right back at them hard. Let's look at the numbers here. Yeah. Elizabeth Warren, $1,224,145,000 from Big Pharma and campaign contributions. Who owns her? Bernie the Windbag Sanders, $1,953,613,000. No, he says that didn't come from Big Pharma. No, it came from Big Pharma executives, Bernie. Cut the crap. Raphael Warnock, when he's not busy running over his wife with his car or collecting rents as a slumlord, he was taking $1,763,425,000 from Big Pharma. Then there's Chuck Schumer. My favorite Chuck Schumer story is Chuck had a longtime girlfriend. If you saw Chuck's wife, you would understand why. Yes. But during the extent of their relationship, Chuck gave his gumata a mattress. Then when he broke up with his girlfriend, he wanted the mattress back. What a cheap SOB. But he took $1,557,928. So I think all of these congressmen, these senators who are attacking RFK as he does away with the childhood mandates for a number of these dangerous vaccines. By the way, he's not anti-vaccine. He's anti what's in the vaccines, like mercury, for example, and other toxic chemicals which have a long-term deleterious effect on health. While all of these people were in office, why is child chronic disease skyrocketing? Why are cancers among people in their 20s and 30s skyrocketing? We're the wealthiest country on earth. Why are we the unhealthiest country on earth? So this effort to destroy RFK, to smear him, is despicable, but he's undaunted. He is an absolute fighter, and I think he's held his own in all of these hearings.
Let me ask you a question, Roger. Through the abortion issue, it was my body, my choice, right? When you have a child, when you have an adolescent, when you have a baby, it's essentially you, right? Until that baby, grows up to be a child or to be an adult. Okay, so my body, my choice when it comes to abortion, my body, not my choice when it comes to my child, and that thing is born and you've got to stick it with 30 vaccines. Why is it an issue for the left for people to make their own decisions on what they want to give their child? 30 vaccines or not. This is far different than the abortion issue, which they think is no big deal, but all of a sudden vaccines are a big issue. Meanwhile, these babies aren't assimilated into society until they're probably 3 or 4 years old anyway.
I think it's because it's about money. Largely, it's about money. If you look at the lifetime totals of some of these people, Bernie Sanders has taken $23 million from Big Pharma during the course of his political career. Warnock, $14 million. Warren, $10 million. Ron Wyden, that guy looks like he's from outer space. I mean, I'm no matinee idol, but that guy, he makes Adam Schiff look normal. That's pretty tough. Tim Kaine, $3 million. Catherine Cortez Mastro from Nevada, $3 million. The left is bought and paid for. This is largely about money more than anything else.
Yeah, and they get away with it. And it's just so mind-blowing to me that the Democrats have they're the only people to be running the same game plan for the last 20 plus years, and they don't lose at it. People just don't open their eyes. People are so bought. I do a lot of traveling, Roger. You do too. How many people do you still see wearing masks? I mean, I traveled all over the summer, all that, and I mean, a lot of overwhelming majority of people are still wearing masks on airplane. We've already established they don't work for absolute anything except maybe wiping your rear end. Yet people still are sold by this fact that masking works. I don't know if it's these people are so brainwashed. The voters are so brainwashed. The Democrats have these people brainwashed. But it's just so mind-blowing to me that you can show these people the evidence on something and it's still not good enough because their masters tell them you have to believe this.
The problem, of course, is that those are the people watching CNN. Those are the people watching MSNBC. Sadly, there's still a substantial number of people in the population who heard the initial overwhelming scare tactics that were used regarding COVID-19. And because they don't look at alternative media or because a lot of the truth is suppressed, they don't understand the enormous damage has been done. I remember at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, probably 6 months into it, I said that the COVID vaccine had killed or damaged millions of people. And Newsweek attacked me that was an irresponsible conspiracy theory. I haven't seen any corrections. Where's the correction that I'm due for that? I also said they ultimately wanted to embed a chip under your skin so they could track you. They made fun of me for that too, but we know that's a reality. So all these things that they said were conspiracy theories, they all turned out to be true.
Yeah, I everyone I knew, I begged Lou Dobbs not to get it. I begged my family not to get it. It was just so absurd that everyone just fell and caved to the peer pressure of what we were being told to do and how we were being told to do it. And I think that people gave up far too many freedoms for what we got back. We got back in return was absolutely zero. I want to turn to, Roger, that brutal stabbing in Charlotte that we're just hearing about now. It happened some time ago, about this man walking the streets, over 12 convictions, arrested 12 times, let out of jail, arrested, let out of jail, arrested, let out of jail. You've got these rogue judges who allow this stuff to happen, allow these people back on the street, these Democrat judges, put them back out on the streets to do more crime. They kill more people, they commit more crime, and nothing happens to these judges as they allow these criminals to perpetrate these crimes. Now, if you're watching, you mentioned CNN, Brian Selter said that MAGA media is using the Charlotte murder as a political symbol, stoking racism. Let's take a listen to the idiot.
Really, over the weekend, Elon Musk, Charlie Kirk, other Trump-aligned figures succeeded in making this senseless death a symbol of big city crime. We heard President Trump asked about it yesterday when he was heading home from New York City. He didn't seem to know much about it. He said he would get briefed, and then today, Trump did know all about it. That's exactly what has happened here. This story has trickled up from local news to social media and now to the president's attention, and it's being used, as you said, Brianna, as a political symbol, with MAGA media calling for more forceful punishments and more incarceration. I have to say, some of the replies to Musk, some of the comments around this story are baldly racist, stoking fear of African Americans because this man attacked a white woman. The open racism on sites like X today, it's eye-popping. But there are also legitimate questions about this so-called career criminal, someone who had been a repeat offender. And those questions, I hope they're not lost amid all of the cesspool kind of comments on social media.
The only cesspool here is CNN. Here's the question. Why aren't they covering this? Why isn't the mainstream media covering this? Why do they pretend that it's not a story? I guarantee you this. If the killer had been white and the woman had been black, it would have led on CNN. It would have led on MSNBC. I think we all know it. So they're engaged in a cover-up. And when people like Charlie Kirk, for example, just simply report the facts, they find that as racist. Everything's racist if you listen to these people.
Speaking of racist, you'll never guess who the Democrats have tapped as their forefront of defending democracy. Before we move on, I got to get your take on this. They've tapped Jimmy Kimmel. Wasn't that the same guy who did blackface? That's the man who they have at the forefront now, they say, who's defending democracy for them.
Oh, they were all upset when Howard Stern got canceled a couple months ago. Howard Stern, who regularly dropped the N-word in his broadcasts, who often appeared in blackface. But you see, once he turned on Trump, he became a god. He could no longer be criticized. By the way, he canceled because I don't think anybody was watching, or I should say, in this case, listening.
Yeah, once you turn on Trump, Roger, you get this certain kind of immunity, it seems, to do it and say whatever you want. It's truly sad. President Trump has come off of win after win after win, except in places like New York. I don't know if you saw the other day, an appeals court held up that $88 million for E. Jean Carroll, a woman that alleged he raped her in a Bergdorf Goodman a fitting room. I mean, how does shit like this stand, Roger?
Well, in all honesty, and I'm going to produce a piece on this, I think the president's lawyers made a number of very serious errors in their appeal because it should have been overturned on appeal. I also saw this shocking interview with E. Jean Carroll in which she talked about how she had fooled the jury, how she had done her hair and done her makeup and tried to look as similar as she had looked in 1996 when this allegedly happened. There's zero chance this happened. This was a confection whipped up by George Conway. They extended the statute of limitations under New York state law so that Donald Trump could be sued for sexual assault. Little did they know that they would also catch Andrew Cuomo and Mayor Eric Adams at the same time, both of them facing lawsuits for sexual assault or sexual harassment. So I think it is pathetic, but unfortunately, a number of options now for the president in terms of a future appeal are time barred by the law, due, in my opinion, to mistakes made by the president's attorneys. I know it's not going to be popular for me to say that, but It's the truth.
Yeah, this is what this show is about, Roger. Truth, justice, and the American way.
I hear every day about the products you all wish MyPillow carried. Well, guess what? We probably do. Slippers, bathrobes, pet beds, blankets, mattresses, sleepwear, loungewear, duvets, comforters, pot holders, aprons, oven mitts, and so much more. And they're all on sale. For example, get our best-selling standard MyPillows for only $14.98. Body pillows, $29.98. 6-piece bath towels or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase, $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And I've never done this before. When you spend $100 or more, you're going to get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
The Democrats cherry picking once again, dropping some Epstein files as James Comer has released now over 34,000 documents related to the case, Roger. Nobody knows more about the Epstein stuff than you, writing a book on it, I guess, over 10 years ago now, right? About Jeffrey Epstein and the dirty work that he was doing. But the Democrats are releasing cherry-picked material, releasing a depiction of a birthday card that Donald Trump allegedly signed. James Comer decided to release his own birthday cards, one from Bill Clinton, which the mainstream media, of course, is not covering. Any of the other documents, the phone books, none of that stuff they're covering. They're honed in on this birthday card that Donald Trump is suing the Wall Street Journal over. Your take on it all?
Look, I've known Donald Trump for 50 years. First of all, I've never known him to draw, ever. I've also never known him to sign just his first name to anything. He signs Donald Trump. It also, the actual wording about how we share a secret, this is so obviously a fugazi, as they would say in New York, that I think he's going to end up owning the Wall Street Journal. I wonder what he's going to call it once he owns it.
Yeah, it's right for it. The mainstream media, Roger, is so damn corrupt in everything they do. I put on CNN last night. You mentioned who watches CNN. I watch CNN from time to time to see what they're talking about, and it's just a regurgitation of garbage, hour after hour after hour. Somebody needs to buy up these media conglomerates and turn them around before it's too late.
The good news is, of course, that their viewership continues to drop as more and more people move to more conservative alternative outlets. But they are shameless. And as I have often said, I don't get my news from CNN for the same reason I don't drink out of the toilet. It is, for example, you watch Aaron Burnett. When Paul Manafort got charged with mortgage fraud, she said it was a serious crime. But when Letitia James or Adam Schiff or Dr. Lisa Cook from the Federal Reserve gets caught red-handed in mortgage fraud, in other words, claiming 2 different properties as their principal primary legal residence, which is not possible, in order to get a state tax break in 2 states and get a lower mortgage rate and get a lower insurance rate. Why, that's weaponization by the Trump administration. I mean, this woman who's getting a little long in the tooth, she has no credibility whatsoever.
Let's talk about Letitia James. I don't know if you saw this new story out that she filed for another mortgage back in 2021 from Citizens Bank, alleging that 5-family property, Roger, was actually only a 1-family property. Have you seen this new story?
I have indeed. So just to be clear, she applied for and got what's called a HAMP loan, which is specifically for rental properties, but they have to be under 4 units or under. Her property had 5 units, so she was never actually qualified for that, but she lied on the applications. Now it turns out that she got another mortgage on the same property, but in that mortgage application, she claimed it was a 1-family unit. She also, as you know, claimed at the same week of Donald Trump's trial in New York, when she has him on trial on these bogus charges, she claimed that her mortgage on a property in Virginia was her principal legal mortgage, which would have meant under the New York State Constitution, she would be ineligible to be the Attorney General of New York. But wait, there's more. It turns out that the person living in that home is a fugitive from justice who's actually wanted on, it's her niece, who's wanted on several warrants in neighboring North Carolina. You can't make this stuff up. So I guess the message for Letitia James is quite simple. No one is above the law, and that includes you.
Yeah, absolutely right. Speaking of this, the man who's investigating it all, and I think has done absolutely terrific job, a man who's been flying under the radar, a man by the name of Bill Pulte, having a little shuffle up with Scott Bessent this week. Can you confirm the rumors?
I wasn't there, obviously. I only know what I have read. Now, I have the highest possible regard for Scott Bessent. I think he's one of the president's very best appointees. He's an outside-the-box thinker. He's a libertarian. He's a great believer in cryptocurrency. He's a great believer in gold. He's proven himself on Wall Street. And I think he has done a great job in these negotiations with our trading partners to bring in billions of dollars of revenue. But I also have an extraordinarily high regard for Bill Pulte, who comes from one of the oldest home building families in the country, because he has applied the law. I want to be clear. Hundreds, if not thousands of people are prosecuted for mortgage fraud every year.
Yeah.
You don't hear about it because they're not famous. They're not politically prominent. But when he examines Letitia James, Adam Schiff, Lisa Cook, who's got a plagiarism problem on top of it all, he finds that they have cheated. So I guess this guy, Sam Levine at The Guardian, has written a piece which eviscerates Pulte, which I feel compelled to answer on a paragraph by paragraph basis just to eviscerate him because he's wrong. Their problem with Bill Pulte is he's enforcing the law. Oh, that's weaponization. In Trump's case, they made crimes up that he didn't even commit. Did the same thing to me, by the way. So it is a double standard. I don't know what their disagreement is about. I would like to see them work together. I have the highest possible regard for both of them. Yeah. Don't really know what the fight was about.
Let me ask you this, Roger, because it seems the Democrats are engaged in this among many other crimes, but this seems to be a common denominator, is this mortgage fraud. Do you have any inclination that we've got more Democrats who have committed mortgage fraud that Bill Pulte's investigating?
Well, I can't speak to that because I don't know the answer, but it seems to be endemic among elites. There are people, obviously, who feel that they're so important, that they're so prominent, that the rules don't apply to them. And by the way, if there are Republicans who are prominent, who are in elected office or appointed office, who engaged in mortgage fraud, they too should be prosecuted. I don't think that anyone should get a pass. Pulte is doing his job. He's enforcing the law. I also think it's important to recognize this is not the only thing that he's doing to bring down the cost of housing. Previous to this, in order to get a mortgage, you had to get a credit score done. But there was only one place you could go. It was very expensive. Thanks to a law that was sponsored by Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, passed by the Senate, the two leading mortgage companies, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, now can offer you several alternative credit bureaus to do your score, which brings the cost of all of them down. This is the kind of reform that Bill Pulte is bringing to the housing market. Now, if he could succeed in persuading the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates, because based on the two criteria for that, unemployment and inflation, both of those measures today are either at the same level or lower than they were the last four times the Fed cut rates. So Jerome Powell, who's a lawyer and not an economist, by the way, is playing politics with the national economy. He's playing politics with people's ability to buy a home or buy a car or pay off their credit cards or borrow money, either privately or for a business. They talk about the politicization. The left is going crazy saying Trump wants to politicize the Fed. No, Trump wants to unpoliticize the Fed. Let's operate on the rules. If I had my own personal choice, John, you know this, I would repeal the Federal Reserve Act of 1913 entirely. Why do we need a private bank to be adjudicating what's going on in the American economy?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. 150%. Right. Jerome Powell shouldn't be there. If I were President Trump, too, I would have fired Jerome Powell and tested my luck with the Supreme Court. With the way things have been going, they've been going pretty good there. And I say this every day, Roger. He's not winning at the Supreme Court because his name is Donald Trump. That would be more of a reason for him to lose when it comes to that Supreme Court. When you look at Justices Kagan, Sotomayor, and John Roberts and the rest of them. So he's not winning based on the name Donald Trump. He'd be losing based on the name Donald Trump. He's winning because his cases are in favor of the rule of law and truth, justice, in the American way.
I could not agree more. Look, I have not, with the exception of Gorsuch, I haven't been in love with any of the president's Supreme Court nominees.
I agree.
Gorsuch turns out to be the surprise best of them. That's because he's a bit more libertarian than the other justices. Some of them have been extraordinarily disappointed. But this war of judicial tyranny continues. It's amazing to me. President Trump fires Dr. Lisa Cook, the Federal Reserve board member, for cause. By the way, 3 previous Federal Reserve governors resigned when they were under investigation. But Dr. Cook doesn't have the decency to resign. In fact, she challenges the president's right to fire her. Yeah. So she files a lawsuit in the District of Columbia. But then the clerk of the D.C. courts, a woman named Angela Cesar, assigns the case to Judge Gia Cobb, who just totally coincidentally happens to be a member of the same Black women's college sorority as Lisa Cook, also a member of that sorority, the intellectual giant Joy Reid. So I find it very hard to believe that that's completely coincidental that they assign this case to a judge that just days before ruled that Donald Trump doesn't have the authority to deport dangerous illegals. I'd like to see the proof that there was a random drawing, that there was a spin of the wheel to select the judge to whom the Cook case was assigned, because frankly, I doubt there was. Congressman Jim Jordan has already complained about this. He's already written to the clerk asking her to justify her past assignments. I don't think it's coincidental that Jed Boasberg has gotten virtually every important case that has to do with Donald Trump's agenda. The D.C. Judicial system is rotten to the core. It's completely politicized. I experienced this firsthand when the jury forewoman in my case, who swore during jury selection and the trial, she didn't know who I was. She didn't know anything about my case. She was completely unfamiliar with it. And then, John, it turned out that she'd been attacking me by name and Donald Trump regarding the very case in which she was chosen as a juror, but she had it on a private setting so that it couldn't be found when my lawyers did their due diligence on prospective jurors. Yet, when this all came out after my conviction, Judge Amy Berman Jackson ruled that that wasn't evidence of bias. Really?
You find me a person, Roger, on this earth. All my friends, most of them, they don't care about politics or anything. You find a person on this planet who doesn't know or have never heard of Roger Stone, and I'll tell you, they're lying in both phases. Everyone's heard of Roger Stone. Everyone knows Roger Stone. What's your famous quote, Roger? It's better to be infamous than to never be famous at all.
That's one of Stone's rules, a book that you can get by going to stonezone.com. You can get a signed copy of Stone's rules. It has a terrific introduction by my good friend Tucker Carlson. And it's like Machiavelli's The Prince or Sun Tzu's The Art of War. It's a little broader than that because I also give you my rules about food and exercise and drinking and style, but it doesn't really matter whether you're a liberal or a conservative or a vegetarian or a libertarian or non-political. It doesn't matter whether you're in tech or agriculture or fashion or media or politics. I think you'd find it entertaining and useful. Again, you can go to stonezone.com, go to the store there and get a signed copy.
I got to say, Roger, if I worked in corporate America still, if I ever went to work back in corporate America, this book would be sitting on my desk to drive people absolutely berserk, because people either love you or they hate you. And I guess that's a good thing, right? Because you're not only loved by fake people. Before we wrap up, the district judge thing, I mean, is absurd to me. There's 14 district judges in D.C., yet the same one, which was Tanya Chutkin, seemed to get every single case. Amit Mehta was another one, but it seems now they've got a new one to shop. Before we wrap, Roger, I want to get your take. Our good friend Tucker Carlson was on a panel yesterday with Mark Cuban, and it was absolutely brilliant. So I want to wrap the show with this. Let's take a listen in.
Mark, let me ask you a question. What's your take on whether we should be sending money to Ukraine or not? Were you in favor of that?
Man, they need it.
I mean, honestly, I don't have a good answer. I can make an argument both ways, and half my family is Ukrainian from my grandparents. And so, personally, I think we should help, but I don't have a studied answer for you.
How much money have you sent to Ukraine?
None.
Oh, so what do you mean by we? You're the one whose family's from Ukraine. Like, why don't you send them $1 billion?
Because I'm trying to fix healthcare.
Why don't you fix their health care if you're like so deep? If you think we need to help, why don't you start? How about you first? Yeah. I notice that's never like even an option for anybody. It's like, we need to help. That's not what charity is. Forcing other people to help is not charity.
Here's the good vanity. The good news is all the weapons were on loan lease. We're getting it back. And our dear President Trump has negotiated that we own half the minerals. So he turned this horrible tragedy of a war into a profit center, which is one of his unique gifts. I think we can all agree.
Right. Can I just...
Absolutely annihilated. Roger, give me your take on that beatdown of Mark Cuban. Whoa, wait a second. That's not Mark Cuban. Hold on a second. That's Rachel Maddow. Sorry about that.
This is why I love Tucker Carlson. He says what everybody's thinking and nobody else has the courage to say. And he's much maligned these days, but not by me. So I think that's brilliant. He's also very, very funny, as you know. The other thing I just want to touch on quickly, just for the raw entertainment value of it, is the falling out between Alex Jones and Owen Schroyer. If you haven't watched any of this, Jones goes on for hours and hours and hours, just attacking Schroyer, who either quit or was fired, depends on who you believe. But it was just for the pure entertainment value of it. Alex got angrier and angrier and angrier, giving the whole thing far more coverage than it ever would have gotten. Yeah. They're both really good friends of mine. I wish they would find some way to coexist in the universe. But when people want to move on after all and many, many years at InfoWars and do their own thing, I think you have to let them do that.
Yeah. I listen to Alex, full disclosure, I listen to Alex every single night. I don't agree with everything he says. Some of his things he says are, not aligned with what I believe. But I think he's one of the smartest men in this industry with some of the things he's gotten right over the years. 9/11, calling 9/11 the way exactly it happened, I think among one of them. And, some things he's been off about. But, truly sad. But overall, I think he does a pretty good job. Roger, as always, a delight to talk with you here on the Great America Show. You get the last word here. The floor is yours. If you want to talk about you repairing your relationship with Steve Bannon, the floor is yours.
Well, we're not going to go there. No, here I'm going to do a shameless plug. You can listen to my syndicated radio show every day, every weekday, at 8:00 p.m. Eastern by going to WABCRadio.com. That's WABCRadio.com. Now, if you can't tune in, you can still go to WABCRadio.com, where all of my shows are posted almost immediately after the show by segment. So I urge you to do that. I think you'll find it lively. On Sundays, the Roger Stone Show, also at 77 WABC. Once again, WABCradio.com from 3 to 5 o'clock Eastern time every Sunday afternoon. Check it out. I definitely have a face for radio.
And folks, thestonezone.com to get your signed copy of Stone's Rules, How to Win at Politics, Business, and Style. The great Roger Stone. Roger, my friend, as always, we'll see you next week.
Thank you, and God bless you.
Thanks, everybody, for being with us today here on the Great America Show. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Same time, same place. The quest for truth, justice, and the American way continues. Until then, folks, may God bless you. May God bless America. And may God bless the great Lou Dobbs. Have a great night, everybody.